The Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 2 is finally official. What's up guys, Saf here on SuperSaf TV. I've had an early first look and this is everything that you need to know. So firstly, the name, it is the Galaxy Z Fold 2 5G or the Galaxy Z Fold 2. I'm just going to refer to it as the Fold 2 because the other names are just too long. Personally speaking, I think Samsung just missed a trick and they could have called it the Galaxy Z Fold 2. Am I right? Am I right? Anyway, the Fold 1 last year was personally my favorite device, and that was because it was really refreshing to see something completely different, something completely new, an introduction to a whole new category, but it wasn't perfect. There was lots of room for improvement. The good news is that Samsung seems to have given us everything we asked for in the Fold 2. Starting with the cover display, on the Fold 1 we had the 4.6-inch display, which was very small and not very usable. On the Fold 2, this is now around 1.6 times larger. It is a 6.2-inch display. We've got small bezels with an Infinity O punch out. This is a Super AMOLED display and it is 60 Hz. Now this is going to make things a lot more usable. On the cover display, you're not going to have to always open it up like you had to do with the Fold 1. And when you do open up that device, then you do get a massive 7.6-inch display. Now this is the foldable Infinity Flex display, which is up from 7.2 inches, so it's around 12% larger, and the bezels are around 27% smaller. Once again, we have the Infinity O punch out for that front-facing camera. Now this display is 120 Hz, so you've got a high refresh rate, and on that larger display, things are going to look absolutely awesome. Now this has an adaptive refresh rate, so it is going to move from around 11 Hz to 120 Hz depending on the content on your display, and this will help towards a battery life. Now I have confirmed with Samsung, and when you are at 120 Hz, you will be switching down to full HD resolution. This is similar to what we see on the S20 series as well as the Note 20 Ultra, but nevertheless, a massive usable display with a high refresh rate. I'm very, very excited for. Now, speaking of the materials, for the main display, we do have what Samsung call ultra thin glass. This was initially introduced on the Z Flip earlier this year. And this is kind of like a combination of glass and plastic really. And there is a pre-applied screen protector. So when you do touch the display, you will be touching that protective plastic layer. The cover display is going to be using Gorilla Glass Victus. So this is the most durable glass on a smartphone out right now. For the back, however, there is Gorilla Glass 6. I'm not sure why Samsung didn't use Gorilla Glass Victus for the back as well, but this is just for the front. I don't know if it's something to do with pricing. And then we have an aluminium frame. Now there is a fingerprint scanner embedded within that frame, so it is a side-mounted fingerprint scanner. And the Fold 2 is going to be available in two main colors, the Mystic Bronze and the Mystic Black. The Mystic Bronze, very similar to what we've already seen on the Note 20 Ultra. So it is going to have a matte finish. The black version is going to have a glossy finish. There is also a Thom Browne edition, which is completely separate and it's got its own custom unique design. But on the regular folds, you're going to have these two colors. However, you will be able to pick a customized hinge color. So this is something that you'll be able to do on pre-order. It's available in a metallic gold, metallic silver, metallic red, and a metallic blue. I said metallic many times, but anyway. And speaking of the hinge, this has been improved quite a bit to what we had last year. So this does have the sweeper technology that we saw on the Z Fold. These are tiny fibers which help keep dirt and dust out from the hinge, so they're not going to come in and pop out the front display. The hinge gap is smaller and it's made of like 60 parts. And what this allows you to do is actually have the Fold 2 open and stay in lots of different positions. So you can have it anywhere between around 75 degrees to around 115 degrees. And this is what Samsung are calling flex mode, and it opens up lots of possibilities. Now let's talk about the cameras. So we do have two front-facing cameras in the Infinity O design, the punch out. There's one on the cover display, and then there's the same camera as well on the main display. This is 10 megapixels with an f2.2 aperture. This will mainly be used for quick selfies and if you are doing some video conferencing calls. But then on the rear-facing cameras, we have a triple 12 megapixel camera setup. There is a primary camera, there's an ultra-wide camera, and there is a telephoto zoom camera. Now, one thing to bear in mind is that these cameras are not the same as what we've got on the Note 20 Ultra or even the S20 series. They do seem a little bit different, although they might share some components. The primary camera does have optical image stabilization, an f1.8 aperture with dual pixel autofocus. The ultra-wide camera has an f2.2 aperture, and the telephoto camera has an f2.4 aperture, and it has 2 times optical zoom with up to 10 times digital zoom. So we don't have any 3x, 5x, 30x, 50x like we've got on some of the other Samsung smartphones. Now, personally speaking, I'm not somebody who uses zoom massively, so it's not something that's going to be a huge concern to me. But something to bear in mind, you're not going to be getting the zoom that you might have expected on the Fold 2. This also means that there is no 8K video because you do not have the resolution to cope with 8K video. Once again, 8K video is nice to have, but it's not something that I use on a regular basis, so it's not a huge deal for me. Now, the biggest change on the Fold 2 is that you can now use the rear-facing cameras as front-facing cameras. So you have something called dual view, and this will use the cover display to show the viewfinder from the rear-facing cameras as well as on the main display. So for instance, if you're taking pictures of somebody, they will be able to see what you are framing. So that's going to be quite good. But more importantly, when you are trying to take selfies, then you'll be able to use the rear-facing cameras. So you're not going to have to rely on the front-facing cameras. The rear-facing cameras obviously much higher quality. You also have the option of the ultra-wide camera, and that will allow you to get much wider selfies if you do need to get more people into your shots. So some really interesting updates here for the cameras on the Fold 2. A couple of additional features that Samsung have also talked about. We do have the Pro Video mode like we've seen on some of the other Samsung devices. So you will be able to dial in a few of your settings. And using that flex mode, you'll also be able to prop up the Fold 2. And then if you are taking pictures, you'll be able to see them on one half of the display, and then you'll be able to review them live on the bottom half of the display. And this looks very, very interesting. As well as that, they also have an auto framing feature, which is going to track your subject. Now, I'm not sure exactly how this is going to work. I'm assuming it's going to be at 1080p. Samsung didn't really reveal too much information about this as yet, but of course, we'll be testing it out. And if there is a SuperSaf style camera comparison you want me to do of the Fold 2, then definitely let me know in the comments below which you'd like me to compare it against. Now let's touch on the performance before we talk about the software. So the good news is that the Fold 2 is going to be powered by the Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 Plus chipset across the board. There's not going to be a separate Exynos version, and that means you will be getting the most powerful chipset out there at this time on Android. And this will also be coming with 256 gigabytes of UFS 3.1 storage. No expandable storage, so you will just have this storage option, and there is no larger storage option available. And you do have 12 gigabytes of LPDDR5 RAM, which means this is going to be a multitasking beast. And now let's talk about the software. How have Samsung enabled multitasking on the Fold 2? So we do have Android 10 with One UI on top, but there's lots of features to utilize the bigger display. So we do have app continuity like we had on the Fold 1. So if you do have an app on the cover display, when you do open up the device, this is going to continue on and expand to use the full main display. And we do have improved multi-active windows, so you can have up to 3 apps open at the same time and split across 3 windows. What's even more interesting is that you can have 2 instances of the same app. So this is going to make things a lot more intuitive. Say for instance, you are comparing something on a browser with something else, you can have both of them open at the same time. And there's also drag and drop functionality between certain apps. So say for instance, you want to open your gallery and then you want to drag and drop an image from the gallery into a message, then you're going to be able to do that very easily. And Samsung has also been working closely with Microsoft to optimize their apps. So for instance, if you have PowerPoint, you will be able to have more of a tablet-like experience on the main display, and you'll have access to more menus and options. In addition to that, you do have wireless DeX support. This is something that we've seen on the Note 20 series previously, and you'll be able to connect the Fold 2 to a display that has support for Miracast and wirelessly be able to have somewhat of a desktop experience. For the speakers, we do have high dynamic dual speakers, so we've got stereo sound and they do get pretty loud. And for the battery, we have a 4,500 milliamp hour battery. This is split across both of the sides of the device. In terms of usage, we will have to do some more day-to-day testing with the retail units. Based on my Fold 1 usage, battery life was very, very good, but the Fold 2 does have a larger display for the cover, and it also has that 120 Hz refresh rate. So we'll have to wait and see how good or bad the battery life is. We do have fast charging as well as wireless charging, and there's also support for wireless PowerShare, which is reverse wireless charging. So you'll be able to use the Fold 2 to charge other devices up wirelessly. Finally, the price, £1,800 in the UK, $2,000 in the US. Now, this is still a high price, don't get me wrong, but it is lower compared to what the Fold 1 came in at, and it's offering a lot more. So it's nice to see this category develop to a point where it is getting more and more affordable. Maybe in a few years, everybody will be able to get a foldable device. So I'm very positive about this. And in terms of pre-orders, they are open right now with the official release on the 18th of September. Now, there is the Thom Browne edition, which will be coming in a lot higher than this price. I believe it's going to be over $3,000, but it's going to come with a few other accessories like the Samsung Galaxy Buds Live, as well as the new Galaxy Watch and a few other things. And that is the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 2. I just said the full name here. What do you guys think of it? What coverage would you like me to do as soon as the retail unit is in hand? Definitely let me know in the comments below. Of course, there's going to be lots more hands-on coverage here with the Fold 2. If you want to see it all first, then be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss anything. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then do hit that thumbs up button for me. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSaf TV, and I'll see you next time.